there's a whole lot of great nuance to Facebook Live, and we're going to talk a lot about that in the next few moments because we have some very special guests. We have Katie and Laura and Dan. Katie and Laura are from Facebook, and Dan is, of course, from LiveView. LiveView is the great company that makes all of this possible by making wireless video transmission possible with bonding of cellular and internet or just cellular, so you can literally broadcast from anywhere in the world, even the middle of a convention center, without an internet connection. It's pretty awesome, right?
That's awesome, yeah. It's awesome. It's very meta to be talking about Facebook on Facebook.
That is interesting. We're on Facebook talking about Facebook.
And streaming on Facebook.
And streaming on Facebook, yeah. It's almost like looking in a mirror in a fun house and seeing the mirror behind you.
Like Inception.
Yeah. Yes, it's very Inception. Talk a little bit about Facebook Live and kind of the analytics and metrics that you get back. I think a lot of people aren't really clear on what the difference between reach and viewership is. My understanding is reach is the people who get to see that you're doing something live, not necessarily watching it, and then viewers are the people who actually sit there and watch what you're doing. Is that correct?
I'd say that could be a whole talk just about metrics, but yes, at a broad level, reach is how far that conversation is kind of traveling across. If everything on Facebook's related to a graph, what you're related to, and then what those people are related to from there. So if you think of it bouncing off those nodes and how far that reach would get versus maybe the people that's eyeballs were right on your stream.
Yeah, and also I think there's a live video, but then there's also the video on demand afterwards.
Yeah, good point.
And so the reach really does also imply the people that will not necessarily be watching it live, but who will continue to watch the live video after it's finished being live.
That's very interesting.
Yeah,
so it includes the people who watch it afterwards when it's an on-demand clip.
I mean, that's a whole nother audience if you think about it, because there are some people who can watch live right now, but then there are a lot of people who are working right now or who won't be able to watch live, but they want to watch it later, just like a TV show.
We take the lead from the people, we're in media partnerships, so we take the lead from our partners and what they want to measure.
You guys are very smart. You do a great job, and I love Facebook Live. Is there a way, or I know there are a lot of new features and I want to get into them, but is there a way that now or in the future that I can take the Facebook Live player and embed it on a different site? So for instance, like if I wanted to only stream to Facebook Live and take that player and put it on the BeTerrific site, could I do that? Because I want people to watch on Facebook, but maybe I also want them to watch on BeTerrific.com.
Yep, that's totally possible, and you can do that right now. So you can embed live videos directly from Facebook onto your first-party site. So BeTerrific is a perfect example. If you're a sports team and you want to have a football game streaming on Facebook on your sports page, but then also on your sports website page, that's also possible.
Wow.
You also have the control over your embed, so if you don't want it embedded anywhere, as the owner, you can prevent that as well. So the controls with the content owner.
Very cool. I mean, that's important, right? What about the idea of giving the embed out to other people for their sites, or is it only like our site, BeTerrific, that I could take the video that's on our Facebook page and put it on our site?
Today it's for your site. Where it's going to go eventually, we'll kind of see. I think we're always really receptive to what the demand is, and right now the demand is to put it on your owned and operated.
Well, I think it would be cool to put it on our site and then also have it on Facebook. Would be very nice. And then so if I stream to Facebook, so walk me through how this works. If I stream to Facebook, and then it becomes an on-demand clip. If I put the embed on BeTerrific, when I go off being live, does that become the on-demand clip, or will it stay that embed code so that when I go live the next time, I don't have to put a new embed in BeTerrific?
Good question.
Things have been changing a lot, so I don't want to say the wrong thing on that.
Okay.
What I can say is a live video on our platform is different than a video, a VOD, a video object. So there's the live stream and what we capture there, and we actually seal it, and it turns into a separate object. So to stay up to date with that, like the documentation is really the best place to go for an engineer.
Where would I go?
Developers.facebook.com.
Oh,
and she wrote the documentation for a lot of it.
Say that again?
And look for the live API. Yes.
Okay.
That gives you a little bit more of an in-depth view. Definitely if you're just a viewer or if you're just going live on our Publisher Tools UI, then technically, it's a little more nuanced and you don't necessarily have to go into the nitty-gritty of the live API documentation. But
what's really great is that, I don't know, somebody walking by here who just has an iPhone and really doesn't want to be a broadcaster, but maybe a journalist, could take their iPhone or their Android and be broadcasting live on Facebook, and then we could have a whole multi-camera setup, use a LiveView LU600, and make it a very professional broadcast. And I think it's a good mix of everybody. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah, and our partners, we're embedded within the larger media partnerships group, so really what the news industry is kind of used to doing is the models. We want to put in place tools for them to use in the ways they're used to, and everybody's used to a model with like that with stringers. So.
It's very funny that, I mean, I see like people know our schedule when we go on, what shows we're doing, we advertise on our site, we have great viewership, but yet I get more people to respond when we go Facebook Live. I get texts and emails and all sorts of stuff, and maybe from people who never would have watched before. It really is such a great, let's say, marketing tool. It really is. We're a networking tool. I guess that's pretty obvious, right? As Dan laughs at me as I say that, but it's the truth. I mean, that's Facebook. What about the bit rate that you can, that you guys put up and stuff like that? Is it flexible, and is it really good at this point? I know in the beginning it was a little like blocky, which means that the bit rate was probably lower, the compression was higher.
Yeah, I think that is something, again, that you'd want to refer to our documentation on, because we're keeping that up to date all the time. And we're always going for improved quality and going for more of what broadcast is experiencing in terms of bit rates and resolutions and frames per second and all of that good stuff.
Here's the thing I love about what you guys do, though. If I go to any of these major platforms that are just designed for live streaming, and I try and watch on a phone or an iPad, it can be a good experience as long as I have great bandwidth.
Yeah.
If I don't have great bandwidth, it's not really a great experience. Yet, especially on like LTE versus Wi-Fi, again, depending on the connection speed. If I go to Facebook and I watch on Facebook, it could be the same stream that we're doing. I could have like the worst service in the world. As long as there's a little bit of service, I will get a good signal and it will look good. And so your compression is great. And I guess maybe you do adaptive bit rate. And maybe I'm getting a little too technical here, but
no, but I would say the bigger picture, and that goes like across our entire company, is really having empathy for how people are receiving any kind of content we're putting out there. So that's even around the world. We have different versions of Facebook for you to look at on a flip phone versus iPhone 7.
A flip phone, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know they still made those. Dan, do you have a flip phone?
I do not, no.
I wish I had a flip. You remember those things? What would you have, the StarTAC?
That was my first phone, StarTAC.
The StarTAC.
Yes, I had that.
Do you want to know, when I started in this business, I thought that what LiveView does, I thought that one day I will have my camera and this phone that I had, and somehow this signal will go through here. But I had no idea it would be.
Come together like
and I had no idea it would be that quick. I thought it'd be like when I was 60 or 70, like I'd
it's
be
hard
like.
to even remember that it wasn't always this way, right?
It is. It's very hard to remember that it wasn't always this way. What do you mean? Just get a LiveView pack and stream to Facebook.
No big deal.
Yeah, I'm surprised you're talking about bandwidth issues. We have the solution right here. I don't understand.
Well, but I'm saying if I'm viewing,
you're right. You're right.
By the way, if you want to give me a phone with a LiveView pack on the bottom of it, so I can walk around with ultimate bandwidth all the time, I'm happy.
We'll work on that.
Yeah. So. I guess I also want to say you guys do a lot of 360 live video as well, and we do a lot of 360 live, and we've done quite a bit on Facebook, and we love it. We did some from the New York International Auto Show, and we did it both ways. We did it with a very professional setup from Insta360, and we also did it with a non-professional setup off my iPhone with Insta360. We plugged in their adapter to my iPhone, and it was pretty unbelievable.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
The auto show, by the way, there was a lot of innovation, right? We heard a lot coming from our side about all the technology.
And this is something Facebook lovers would love, right? Is Nissan announced a new version of the Rogue called the Doge. And the Doge has all sorts of modular inserts to have your pet travel safer and get in and out of your car easier, and have the ability to hose them down and wash them in the car. The Doge. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I mean,
things you didn't know you needed.
I know.
Exactly. But it sounds so silly, but like, it was such a great, I was like, there's all these technological advancements, but that was cool.
That's really cool.
That's awesome.
All right, so I guess I wanted to know, we talk a lot about journalism. We now have a lot of citizen journalism.
Yep.
You guys have really kind of led the charge with that, right? Facebook really is the place that everybody has come to get the word out, get the message out, and everybody's been given the ability to become a journalist. And with that, I think with great, what's the phrase? With great expectations comes great responsibility,
yeah.
right? And so I think that the one thing is we do need to be responsible when we are reporting stuff as citizen journalists. I've been a journalist my whole career. For instance, I did a little video a couple weeks ago when we had, I don't know if you know this, but we had a credit card outage nationwide where nobody could process credit cards. So it was a little late on the East Coast, but I happened to be in Vegas, and I actually called American Express and said, is this true? And this is what they're telling me at the restaurant, and I'll pay cash. But they said, yes, it's 100% true. Credit cards nationwide, not just Amex, everybody was down. Apparently a server farm somewhere in the middle of the country went down.
Went down and took down a...
And so I did a video, and I was very careful to say that all this was alleged and that this is what I'm being told and all this stuff. Whereas, as citizen journalists, we're not always so careful to do that. So I want to say that I think it's really important that we always are careful to make sure that we attribute the facts that we have, and when we don't have facts, we don't just say things, we don't just assume things. On the other hand, I think that journalism and citizen journalism is unbelievable, and what Facebook has been able to do to get the word out, not only here in the US, but in other countries. And in situations just a few years ago down in Zuccotti Park in New York City, and all sorts of other things, Facebook has been so
Sandy,
instrumental.
I remember the impact of that. I lived on the East Coast, and watching the storm travel up the coast through my Facebook feed, watching the locations and where all the videos were coming in from. And I think that journalists definitely have this responsibility, but citizens are also just citizens sometimes, and they're recording what they see.
Right.
And then journalists are kind of capturing that.
And you should record what you see, and you should talk about it, but I just feel people should just be a little bit responsible with it, that's all.
Yes.
But that being said, Facebook has a new journalism initiative, and I'd love to hear about it.
Yeah, the Facebook Journalism Project from this year, we've worked really closely with the news industry for a long time, and we really just wanted to do that in a very kind of public way, and it's just really timely for us to all be kind of gathering together to try and crack problems as an industry or just reach out hands. So we've made a real effort, and hopefully that's come through over the past year or so.
So how does it work? Do agencies or newsrooms get in touch with Facebook somehow, or and kind of gather together, or is there a communication back and forth, or is there, hey, we'd love to have you on the platform?
No, it's a lot of communication. I think we have had long-standing partnerships in the news industry.
Sure.
Some of this is more thought leadership and us all putting our heads together to crack problems as a group versus all the individual relationships we've had. So it has like a bunch of different faces on it, and it's really led by our news team in New York.
And what are some of the things that have come out of it?
I know that we had we hosted a hackathon in New York that actually one of our partner engineering teams put on to just kind of help build some software that would empower newsrooms, and so working with some of their engineers and bringing in our own partner engineers and offering kind of some support. And I think kind of what Katie was talking about, we just want to, as Facebook, we like to call it shipping love, where we literally just kind of go a little deeper than maybe we have in the past, or go deeper than people would expect a company like Facebook to go, and really ship love to our partners and our news partners and show them that we want to support them, that we care about them, and that we're here to help them get the news out literally in whatever way they want.
I think that that's awesome, and I love the idea of shipping love. I mean, BeTerrific's about positive live original programming online in all sorts of forms and trying to get positive news out there. We don't feel like there's enough of that in the world. And just to this morning, I was running late here because of another situation I was dealing with in another studio, and I was in an Uber, and the driver was like, "Could I get you a cup of coffee? When I drop you off, can I go get you a cup of coffee?"
So
and
nice.
I said, "What?" And she said, "Could I go get you?" I said, "Are you serious? I would love that."
That's special.
And she said, "I just believe in giving kindness out in the world. There's so much negativity. If I could do one nice thing for somebody a day, you seem a little stressed, and I want to get you, and I think you haven't eaten this morning. I want to get you coffee." And I said, "That's so nice. I would love to take you up on it, but I can't get you a badge to get in to bring me the coffee. And I have no time to run back out to meet you." But I really appreciated that and thought it was so nice.
What you said, the core of that is exactly what we're talking about. We're trying to have empathy for our partners' positions. So we work with hardware solutions like this, but whatever problems they're trying to solve, we're trying to stay ahead of that a little bit.
I love that. I think it's phenomenal. I really love what you guys stand for, and it's really, really important. And I just want to say that because, and that's why I brought up that story, because I think it's really, really important. Now, you guys have a lot of great features and stuff. I want to get to some of the new features, especially for Facebook Live, but one of the newest features is that Solo, which is a product of Live Views, and
Solo, wow.
it's a great product.
Great.
Last year we helped with the launch, we made the video, and we did all sorts of collateral video around it. Solo is a product that basically anybody can have at a very reasonable price point, and they can stream live with bonded cellular. So you can have 2 bonded cellular signals, you can add Ethernet, add Wi-Fi to it, or you can just have 1 cellular signal, and then you can stream live from there. You can plug in an HDMI camera, off-the-shelf camera, so it's somebody who wants to get a little bit better productions all the way up to real productions can use this, and it's a very reasonable price point. Now Solo has Facebook Live integration in it, and that's phenomenal.
And it's really only through the support of these two here. I mean, they've been a huge help in helping us integrate the Live API.
So, I mean, I want you to walk everybody through it, but the reality is it's a little box, it's about the size of my hand, and you just push 1 button and you're live to Facebook. Is that, am I saying it correctly? Once
yeah,
you
that's
set
really
up your
hit the nail
account.
on the head. I mean, we tried to make it as simple as possible. One-touch integration, we call it. Start your Facebook post right from the Solo user interface, get the unit streaming right from there, and everything goes live right to Facebook over a reliable connection.
Wow. I mean, that's, I'd like him to tell us more, but it's really, it's that simple.
Yeah, I mean, we really went for our first generation working with tools that were already really well embedded with the industry, and you know, coming from news that these were already being used out in the field a ton. So for us, it was a matter of plugging into those tools instead of trying to introduce a whole new set of tools.
How does this process happen? Like a company like LiveView, how do they come to Facebook and say, we've got this product we think would be a good fit?
Not that way. It's usually, we work with media partners and they're all chattering about what they use.
You know, it's funny that you say that. I was at a show, what's the show right after, at Streaming Media East.
Yes.
Right after NAB, a couple of years ago, and I came across the Facebook setup, and I said, hey, how you guys doing? And there was a young lady who had a gyroptic camera, and she was testing it out, and she showed it to me. So the gyroptic was a Kickstarter project, or possibly one of the other crowdfunding sites, and possibly Indiegogo, and it was a 360 camera that was supposed to be unbelievable, and you could go live off of it and stuff. And it was so cool to see that Facebook was reaching out, checking out technology, and seeing if it would be good for the Facebook audience. Now you guys at your F8 Summit have announced some really, really amazing stuff, including some new...
That was fun, right?
Yes.
We actually gave away the Droptic
Did you?
to all of the attendees of the F8 conference.
I got one.
Wow.
Yeah, I want one.
I didn't get one.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so that's, I mean, literally goes to show that we are testing what people love and use, and then once we find something that we also love, it's like, yeah, let's work on a partnership together. And LiveView is definitely like that. The way that Dan described it, that's my favorite part about the LiveView is how easy it is.
And I should mention, it has a belt clip, so you could literally wear it on your belt, have a cable to your camera, and be live. And it's so perfect for citizen journalism, but it's perfect for streaming your kid's soccer game or a family event like a wedding. It's really an unbelievable, easy-to-use product at an affordable price, and it works either SDI or HDMI. So if you start to graduate to be more professional and have professional connections with SDI, you can use that. So, and you guys have introduced 2 new 360 cameras that you'll be manufacturing, which is pretty cool. Very excited about those. They looked unbelievable. The specs were incredible.
They're beautiful.
Yeah, they are beautiful. And the footage was, oh my God.
One thing from F8
I love
that
360.
you notice is there's kind of tools at all different skill levels and experience levels. People that want to go really deep, maybe shoot an entire film, 360 or VR, and then you've got people who have a phone, right? And we're really trying to make sure that it's accessible at different places.
And it's really important, and it's important that you do that. We had a company on before, and they were shooting a video to Facebook Live, and they had their major NAB style product here. And I talked about this and did the interview, and then I said, hey, by the way, look at this. This is great, because it's really important to show that there's a complete spectrum. And by the way, you know, people get so stuck on the tools so often. I just had this conversation the other day. These guys wanted to shoot something for BeTerrific, and they kept saying they had to have an Alexa Mini, and I literally put the project on hold because I said, you don't need an Alexa Mini.
Yep.
It's absolutely absurd to say that to me. You don't need it. What you
Thank you.
like it, fine.
That's
But you
the
could
story,
shoot this on your iPhone.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
telling a story. We're storytellers. That's what we're about. That's a tool.
Yep.
But we're always trying to kind of make sure we're communicating the risk rewards of different, of different sorts of hardware or
No,
platforms.
there are definitely certain things. Like I wouldn't tell you not to use a live view solo and to try and find a cheaper solution. I would tell you that's the right answer, but that's not an expensive solution. I didn't say you should necessarily go get an LU600 unless that's what you need.
It's like having a great toolkit. You're using the best tool for every job,
Exactly.
and they're all a little bit different.
What about the new features you guys have released for Facebook Live? Can you tell me about some of those?
We're releasing features like every week.
Well, we have.
What's your favorite new feature then?
Oh, that's a
our
good one.
favorite.
I'm gonna let Laura go first.
I think scheduled live has been something that's been really popular with our media partners because a lot of the time, especially with TV, you already know when you're going to go live. You're right, you have a broadcast time, you have a TV show time, and so that's been really great because it allows our partners to be able to inform their audience that they're going to go live sooner or rather than later, so that way people can prepare. So you don't just have people hopping into a live stream once it's already halfway through. You can actually get a notification. This CNN is going to go live on Wednesday at 4 p.m. and you're like, great, I want to tune into that. And so you can actually sign up to get a notification sent to you when they do go live. You can go into a little lobby and wait for them. So maybe you get there at 3:50 and you're like, I'm ready to go, and you can just kind of have it hanging out and start when
So
you're
there's
ready
like
to
a
go.
chat room part of it as well.
It's not actually a chat room, so you don't actually get to talk to the people that are in there, but you're more just hanging out there, waiting for it to start, and then you'll
like
get to
combines
see
an
the
event.
I like that. Now,
video.
what about somebody like CNN who's live all the time, or like BeTerrific? We're live all the time, even if we're
Yeah.
streaming old content.
Yeah.
And we want to say, okay, we're live. So tonight, right? We'll stream this what we did all day through the night. When we come back and we're streaming again, but we're actually live again. Is there a way to announce to the audience without stopping the stream, hey, BeTerrific is live now, like it's the first time again, and kind of do what you're saying, but still allow people to watch what they missed overnight?
Most people aren't streaming quite that much.
I
but
know,
yeah.
it's crazy,
But you
right?
still can, because
You
they're
can.
all different hosts, right? So they're all different live videos, and they can be, you can get a different notification for each one.
Yeah.
And maybe what we should do is stop streaming all the time because there is a VOD, a clip.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily as important to be streaming all the time. How does Facebook see itself fitting in, and the people who are streaming live to it fitting into the OTT landscape, the over-the-top and the network landscape, especially with all these OTTs coming out, and Facebook is much more of a social network and also is much more, I guess, user-generated, even on the professional side. How does Facebook see that fitting?
I think that the reputation is it's much more user-generated, and I think it's user-friendly. I think you're seeing, we work in an entire department of professional content creators, people that are streaming for high-end media networks, so we see much more of that sort of media side of things. And I don't think it's, like you said, it's about the storytelling of it. The OTT is going to support, obviously, that longer form storytelling, events like that, but we're still going to have people going live from the floor of NAB too.
So does Facebook see, like I originally thought Facebook would want people to be doing 5 to 15 minute videos or 1 to 15 minute videos for live streaming, and it seems like stream whatever you want. Is that kind of the mantra?
Yeah, I think it's really about understanding the story that you want to tell ahead of time, and then figuring out the best way to support that story. So when people come to us and just say we want to use a tool, or they point at something on the shelf and say, like, what does the live view integration look like? First, we try to back up and see what they're trying to do, right? So do you have a television integration, and then this is an extension off of that? Is this an exclusive content experience? What kind of hurdles are you trying to overcome? And then we try to fit those with tools and try to kind of have relationships with the best tools.
Is there a way to stream? So right now we're streaming live, I believe, I'm not 100% certain, but I believe we're streaming live to the LiveView Facebook page and the BeTerrific Facebook page. And I think we're potentially doing that with 2 different encoders. Is it possible to do it with one encoder and say, I want to send this to the BeTerrific page and the LiveView page?
That is possible. It's not a functionality of the Live API. That would be something that would be the responsibility of the encoder that you use or
Sure.
the switcher and whatever software you want to use, but it is possible. And we do have solutions that, that offer that. They're just not created by Facebook, and they're not a part necessarily of the Live API.
I wanted to know if you guys had some tips and tricks for everybody, but one of the tips I learned today already was that you guys update so often that we really should be going to the developer site of Facebook and checking the live tab or whatever we want to call it regularly, like maybe weekly, because you guys are rolling out features and making changes all the time.
Yeah, that would be, I would say, on the professional side of things. Signing up for alerts. You can sign up for alerts for the Live API, for example, on our developer site, and get update when we update those pages, get updated on those things.
Very
so
cool.
That's an easier way to do that, I think, too.
What's the most exciting feature you think that's pretty new?
I think branded content is really exciting. It's not necessarily new, but the ability to take, say, a live video and wrap that in some sort of branding that maybe extends off of a larger content package that you're putting together, to me is less a hardware feature, but it's exciting.
Can you explain that to me, how it would kind of play out and what it would look like?
Yeah, so we allow our partners who have verified pages, right, to basically, as long as you tag it as branded content, to run content that maybe is brought to you with a partner with, say, a logo or representation over the top of that and monetize it. It's just got to be kind of called out in that way. And the analytics get broken out really nicely on the back side,
oh, wow.
too. Yeah.
Very, very cool. I think we have a verified page. I'm not 100% sure. Adam, is
yeah,
it true?
I'm sure you do.
Do we have a verified page on Facebook? BeTerrific? We'll say yes.
We'll say yes on that.
Great. So how do people get started? I mean, for us, I think it's pretty easy.
Yeah.
You certainly can go get a live view solo, and that's probably one of the easiest ways. And also, let's assume for a second that everybody knows that you can take a smartphone using the Facebook app and stream live from there. So how would people get started in any other way?
So we have actually a media solutions landing page. It's just fb.me/media solutions. And the way that I was talking about it at F8 last week was just, if you say, I wish I could do XYZ, the phone is great, but I wish I could do XYZ and I can't, that's when you kind of go to these solutions and, you know, something like the cellular bonding, switching between multiple cameras, adding graphic overlays. We have solutions along all of those lines. So it's kind of just a step up, I would say.
Yeah. I also think going live through our publisher tools UI
Yes.
is one of the next easiest ways to do that, and that's easily accessible by anybody. You can download free encoding software just to get started. At least we wouldn't necessarily recommend that as a professional broadcast, but you can just create a
For
page,
testing,
go
right.
into publishing tools, go to your video library, and create a live video. Copy that RTMP URL into your encoder and start live streaming actually from your webcam even. You don't have to even have an extra input and immediately have a live stream going to a page. And that's a great way to just start to get comfortable. If you're already comfortable with the smartphone setup, then that's just taking it one step further. And then of course there's this, and we're here at the NAB conference, so there's like this wild amount of tools and cameras and encoders and exciting things that you could use to really bump up your broadcast. But if you're just looking to get started and you want to make stuff a little bit more professional, I think that's the next step too.
I agree with that, yeah.
I think that everybody says, what's the best way to do social media to reach the audience and stuff, and I think live video is certainly one of the best ways. It certainly gets a lot of attention, and it's a great way to get your message out.
And it's authentic. I think that's my favorite part about it, is that it's a little more genuine than something that might be a little more polished, and I think that's what's really appealing to people. And people ask us all the time, you know, how do I make this better? What drives, you know, more viewership and things like that? And I think at the end of the day, it's having content that you're passionate about and that you believe in, and that will bring the right people along.
How did you get to Facebook?
How did I get to Facebook?
Yeah.
I started working
Not very straightforward.
I was all over the map. So I've been to a couple of different companies along the way. I started actually as an English major and became a software engineer and found Facebook. I actually found Katie, and I fell in love with this team and with live video before I even knew that it was a thing. And now I've turned really passionate about video engineering and getting hardware partnerships set up at Facebook, and I love it.
It's very cool. And you're a social media expert before joining Facebook, is that correct?
I actually wasn't like a total social media expert, but
I don't think anyone should say they're a social media expert.
Yeah.
I would agree with that, by the way. Because,
and
I'll tell you why I would agree with that, because it changes so quickly you couldn't possibly be, even if you were yesterday, you're not tomorrow. How about you? You have been in the TV business, the digital space for a little bit.
I was also an English major.
You were?
Yeah, we're all liberal arts people. That's funny. And then I was in TV, was at ESPN, and then thought I was kind of walking away from TV to come to Facebook, and ended up coming back to work on video again. So it's kind of, I've been to NAB in a whole nother capacity on the TV side.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's you got to be like a kid in a candy shop a little bit.
It is really fun to come back and kind of play with all of these new tools, yet understand some of the bigger, more permanent infrastructure side too.
I love that companies are making products like LiveView, are making products for Facebook. Because if this, and you know this, if this were 20 years ago, these companies would be like, oh, forget that. Nobody's ever going to do that. Yeah. And they wouldn't make the tools we need to be able to do this.
Yes.
That's the way the industry was for so long. Unless there was some real impetus to make change, they didn't make change. And it's only the last 10 years that the industry has started to realize it needs to make change to survive and embrace.
And these are audiences that people have been building for this is the way I look at it. On Facebook, you've been nurturing a group of people for 10 years that have a common interest, or they wouldn't be following your page. And as opposed to maybe another streaming platform where you have to tune in really, really hard, you're kind of dropping in, and as long as you are still being relevant to your audience, it's going to keep paying off. So that's the biggest benefit to me, is you're kind of always on, and you choose when to drop in.
And I think not only relevant, but authentic,
Yes,
and I think that's important. We started doing a show called Broadway Bartender, and it's a different kind of show than we normally do.
I saw a little ad for that before.
And we've been streaming it on Facebook, and I think
awesome.
It's interesting because I think most people think that shows like that aren't on Facebook or going to be on Facebook, and I disagree for the same reason that you just pointed out. Why wouldn't I distribute that on Facebook?
Yeah.
Because I already have, and not only myself, but the people who are involved in it, and the guy who's the host, already have a built-in audience.
People have opted in to express their interest already in being with you, and they have stuck with you, I'm assuming, through as you build your page. As long as you don't go and try and just send them commercials, you're going to be talking to people that care.
I have one quick question for you. You said something about graphics, about implementing graphics. Is there a way to put overlays on the video stream so that when, let's say, if we were talking about LiveView right now, you could have liveview.com pop up, and then people could go to liveview.com. Is that possible?
Absolutely possible in a bunch of different ways, and we have partners that specialize specifically in, say, taking your on-air graphics package and bringing that over for use on Facebook. It's really high-end, actually.
Very cool. Two amazing, bright young ladies. We've got Katie and Laura. Thank you so much for joining us. And this guy's, he's definitely a rock star. There's no doubt about that.
No doubt.
Dan and the LiveView team are unbelievable. I got to thank Joyce and Claudia for setting this up with you guys, as well as Dan, and the LiveView team for welcoming us into their home and giving us this space to have this wonderful studio. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Michael Artsis. You are the Terrifics. You make BeTerrific special. We'll be back with a whole lot more. Your live continuing coverage from NAB 2017 right here at the Las Vegas Convention Center when we come back. Stay with us.